Today's project, we're going to repair the pull cord for my parents' snowblower. It broke last winter. He decided this winter would be a good time to get it fixed. Tools necessary for today's project will be tape, needle nose pliers, a knife, a screwdriver, a wrench, a nut driver, and a lighter. Alright, let's get to work. First thing we have to do is remove these two bolts in order to get the case off. Once we remove those bolts, we have access to the pull string system. So we take our nut driver and move the top bolt. I believe it was an 8mm. It's a very small bolt. Then we'll go ahead and get the bottom bolt off. Now, I had this issue with this snowblower. It might be different with your snowblower or lawnmower. It's the same concept, where the drive system for the back wheels are in the way when I was trying to use the nut driver. So I had to go grab a regular wrench. You can use an open end or a box end or a ratcheting wrench, whichever. Just to get access into there to get that nut off. Once we remove that, then the whole pull system comes off in one piece. Now that we got it off, we're going to go ahead and get our old string out. So we'll go ahead and pull it. It may be a little tough because it's probably bunched up in there some. That's fine, we'll just yank it up out of there. The whole thing could turn. It's okay. All you want to do is get this string out. We're going to cut off the knot at the end of it. So when we get to the end, it'll just pull through. Then before we put our new string in, we do a little bit of math and find out how many times we have to turn this before we slide in a new string. That way when we put the new string in, it'll wind it up in there. You can't wind it up in there after you put the string in. You have to do the winding before you install the string. So we wind it up, and we take our screwdriver and put it through the grill in the back, and it grabs one of the fins of the pulley there and holds it in place. Then we grab our new string. I like to wrap tape around the end of the string just to make it easier to pull through the openings. So we line both openings up. We put the string through the opening of the housing and through the opening of the pulley. Then we grab our needle nose pliers and use that to pull the string through. It may be a little tough to pull considering that hole is just barely bigger than that string, and the tape adds more thickness, so it makes it a little more difficult. But without putting the tape on there, trying to line that string up to get into that opening is near impossible. So we'll just go ahead and pry it on through there, and then we'll tie it off at the end. Now that we have that end through, we're going to go ahead and put the other end through the handle. I'll put tape around that end also, just to make it easier to pull through as soon as I find the handle. Now it's going to be the same issue because the hole is just barely bigger than the string. But once we get the tip of it through there, it should go nice and smooth. So we'll go ahead and pull that through and then tie it off. A couple quick tips. One, make sure you tie real good knots. The worst thing is to get this all put back together. One or two good pulls and the handle comes off, or worst case, the knot comes off on the inside of the housing and the whole string comes out. Secondly, do not remove your screwdriver from the housing until you have tied off both ends. Yes, that can happen. You don't pay attention, you take the screwdriver out, and it starts to wind the string in without it being attached to the handle. And then the string is completely inside the housing, so you have to start all over again. So if we did our math right, once we pull this string back, the screwdriver comes out, it should wind the handle into the housing. Now we cut off the excess string, melt the end of the rope to keep it from fraying, and then we get everything put back together. It's very simple. We just put the housing on the back end of the snowblower or the top of the lawnmower, depending upon what you're working on. We're going to line our two screw holes up, get our two screws put in, and basically tighten everything down. We'll grab our nut driver for the top one. For the bottom one, we can use our wrench, or I just use the nut driver bit. Now we don't want to over tighten it. Just get it nice and snug. Remember, it's thin pieces of basic cheap metal, real cheap metal. And if we over tighten it, we run the risk of stripping the screw holes out inside the housing. If that happens, you can just get a larger self-tapping bolt and force that in there. But I prefer not to have to make any more modifications to this old snowblower. So we'll just tighten that up nice and tight. Get a couple of quick test pulls, make sure everything works, and we should be good to go. Thank you for checking out my video. Please check out my other videos, and make sure you subscribe as I try to release a video a week. There's plenty of things to fix, but I could probably do a video a week. Looking forward to my next project, which is probably going to be figuring out why this stupid thing won't start.